Hey everybody, how's it going? I've had some viewer requests to show more details about canning, so I'm going to can these fresh beans that I just picked from my garden today. I'm going to use the raw pack method, and I'm going to use the pressure canner. Okay, this is the raw pack technique, so I'm going to go ahead and just start packing these cleaned, washed, de-stringed, and broken up green beans. Pack them in the jar. And you want to remove as much space as possible, so just pack it down with something like the wooden handle of a spoon. Now, one note, this metal funnel is way better than plastic. Plastic can melt when you're working with hot liquids, and you know what? Metal just lasts forever, so you don't have to worry about it cracking. Okay, so you can see how easy this is. Now, eventually, we're going to fill this with hot water up to about here. That's 1 inch of headspace. So let's fill the other jars. All right, here's our lids, brand new lids, don't reuse them. And I wanted to point out this sealing compound on the bottom. I like to put these in some hot water. Now don't boil these, just pour some hot water on top of them. And that'll help soften up that so that it forms a gasket between the jar and the metal lid. All right, now I'm gonna fill these up to the appropriate point, leaving about 1 inch of headspace. This is previously boiling water. I just took it off the heat. And I use my nice metal ladle. And there we are. Don't overfill it. Now you want to wipe the rim of the jar carefully. And now we're going to put the lid and ring on. All right, here's our lids. This is a really handy device called a lid lifter. It's magnetic, so you don't have to reach in there. You're just going to set it on the jar. Put your ring on, obviously thread it on, and then you might need to use a rag or an oven mitt. Tighten these right on, and now finish the other jars. So here's our empty pressure canner. You'll always want to put a rack in there to keep the jars from banging around, and we're going to add about 2 quarts of hot water for pressure canning. And now we load our jars in carefully so that they're not banging against each other. My pressure canner can hold 7 quart jars at one time. All right, here's the lid. You've got your main vent pipe, which should be clear all the way through. You've got this little pop-up valve that when the steam builds up, it'll pop out. And then this is a safety feature. This little rubber button will pop out if the steam gets too high in pressure. You can monitor the pressure with this dial gauge. You want to make sure that your gasket is in good condition. So you line up the alignment marks with the handle and the lid. It should seat down. Just twist it. Now that's locked on. We're going to turn it on high. Okay, I can hear the water boiling, and if you look carefully, you see the steam coming out of the vent pipe. You want the steam coming out of that vent pipe for several minutes before you put the heavy weight on top. All right, we've had steam coming out for several minutes. Cover it up with the weighted pressure regulator. Now we're going to watch over here until that pops up. All right, now that that's popped up, we're going to come around here and look at the pressure gauge dial. When this gets up to 11 pounds of pressure, the weighted pressure regulator is going to start releasing some steam. That's when you start timing your pressure canning. All right, now we start timing, in the case of beans, for 25 minutes. All right, time's up, so we're going to take it off the heat. Now, don't open anything up. Just let it come down in temperature on its own. Come down in pressure. Don't try to cool it down in any way. Give it a while to cool down. Okay, you'll notice that the pressure gauge is reading 0. Don't just trust that. This little valve just flopped down, and now the pressure regulator, we can go ahead and lift it off. So there's not a lot of steam coming out. So now gently crack the canner, and I'm going to turn the fan on. Crack this open and just let some of that steam come out away from you. Okay, just a little bit. And then give it another couple minutes before you open it up. Okay, it's been a couple minutes. Open it away from you. And now use your jar lifter to carefully remove the jars and put them on a towel on the countertop. The reason this jar is still boiling is because that's the boiling point of water, 212 Fahrenheit, whereas our pressure canner was running at 240. So that's normal, and as it cools, this lid's gonna pop down. All right, so there you have it. One way you can put up the harvest for winter.